thing.
Maybe. But now me and the hustler are one and the same.
Let me spell it out for you.
Let me take a whack. When it's your turn to run for mayor, and endorse them in your pocket.
I'll consider everything that's on the table.
You may not know this, but I'm not exactly known for being the nicest guy. I ain't too friendly myself. Look at that. I mean, you did walk your girl and your baby boy right off the roof of a building. Hey, I ain't got nothing to do with that. And you got nothing on me, so stop. Actually, I got you for reckless driving, going through stop signs and resisting arrest. All right, so give me my DAT and let me walk through that door. You think you're gonna march a girl and a baby off the roof of a building and just walk out of here with a desk of pants to you? No, you stepped off that ledge herself because she was whacked in the head. That ain't on me. And she was whacked in the head because she got a problem. She wanted out of her life, but you said no. That's why she jumped. So guess what? This is on me. Come on, son. You really think this is my first time in the box with police? No. Now, either you can put up and charge me with something, or shut up and watch me walk through that door. Yeah. You're cold. Well, I guess we'll get you out of here. Though you do understand if I walk you out that door, and you leave here, we'll be before we get there. I don't think you're on business going to work 30,000 cops and get a cold hospital. I say you have two choices. Either you can give me Sandtown, and we'll hire a Los Forest drug operation, and I need everything. Stash houses, shipments, informants, the whole night. Or what? Or we can begin right close. I'm not gonna stop till I get to your tonsils. And I'll pay 20. I'd rather take 20 from you than a death sentence.
Good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing this morning? We got space in between everyone? Yeah, good.
Morning.
Sorry. Good morning. I was out at the fair.
You're ready, Judge? Alrighty, let's please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody could rise, okay? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible, Y'all may be seated. Thank you. Good morning.
We've got,
Commissioners, we got anybody that wants to make any announcements before we proceed? Commissioners, and then we'll proceed to the JC.
yes, we got Josh Leal, Julio Rosales.
Okay. Mr. Josh Leon?
Sure.
Good morning.
Can I
So
pull
This
this
is
up?
the public portion of the meeting, so anyone that wants to come up before us, we can speak, and then any commissioners, if you want to make any announcements.
We can respond to them.
Yeah, no response or anything, it's just a statement that you're gonna give. You may,
Can I pull this up?
yes, sir, you may just speak.
And I have a pretty loud voice, so I'm gonna.
All right.
step away from-
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, we're here. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Cookie Rosales. I'm the president of the Allysview Football League, and we're here to request funds to help us with the construction of the football park that the city council has approved for us to use. It's 9.8 acres out there at Harkins Industrial Park, the old soccer fields by Fesco, by the airport. And these are some of our players, and our league consists of 400 Alice kids and kids from surrounding towns. And you guys have the power to help us with the construction of this facility. The youth of Alice does need a facility like this, and we're here to request funds for that. I'd like to introduce one of my board members, Josh Liao, and he will also speak with you as well.
I wrote something last night to read out to you guys, so here it goes. Good morning, my name is Joshua Leal. I'm a 2006 graduate of Alice High School here in Alice, Texas, America. I was an Alice Scout for 7 years, 3 of which on varsity, but I started playing football at the early age of 8 years old for the Alice Youth Football League. My Coyote pride runs deep in my veins. We bleed orange in this town. Like many of our youth, I once would sit in the stands of Memorial Stadium watching the boys of fall play, waiting for the day I once too could wear the orange and white. We're privileged in Alice to have a program like the AYFL to help our youth and shape them into the young disciplined men we expect of them. Teaching them the skills they need to help them when they get to the next level and run onto the field to the fight song while the crowd cheers them on. I have so much love for the game. I've continued coaching, and I've taken on the role of a board member for the league. Since 1996, 25 years now, the Alice Youth Football League has continued the tradition of giving the youth a place to enjoy playing the game they love. But unfortunately, through the years, it's become more difficult for the organization to continue doing what we do due to the expenses of not having our own facility. We paid up to $1,000 a weekend just to rent a place to play for these kids to continue to do what they do. Even through fundraising and donations, building a facility for the kids hasn't been easy. We've been given a piece of land by the city to use, but it needs some expensive renovations. We're here today to ask for your help, to continue to give the kids a place they can call their own. The budget for this project is $30,000. We ask for your assistance with the Jim Wells County's drug forfeiture money to complete this project. The facility will be fenced and secured primarily to protect it. The leveling of the land for the safety of the kids, concession stands, parking lots, restrooms, goalpost bleachers, and a scoreboard are just some of the goals we have in mind for the money we receive. The city has offered to assist once we get the project started as well. Through the funds we receive and some of the funds the league has managed to save, we can finally have a place in Alice to continue to build the tradition for these kids, the Alice Coyote way. Together, we can give generations to come a chance to continue to play the game they love here in Alice. We are the original pride of South Texas, and let's keep it that way.
I'd like to thank you guys for your time. Again, this is a drug prevention program. There's plenty of mentoring that goes on with this. I've been involved with the league for 21 years now, and you guys, again, have the power to help us. We would like to give them a field to play on here this next fall, and I want to thank you so much for your time and allowing us to speak today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Young men, thank you all very much. Good luck. We'll be in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank
Okay.
you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Who else do we have that wants to come up before the
Judge, good morning.
sheriff? Good morning.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Morning, sir.
First of all, I want to recognize our officers that worked last week. Their efforts even though like we all did have water leaks and no light and electricity and so on. But I'm very proud of the staff that works for the sheriff's office who are out there day and night protecting our citizens. Kudos to them and their families that allowed them to come out and still work very hard during those times of hardship that our families were going through. So congratulations to the staff at Jim Wells County Sheriff's Office. I also want to report to you that we have 51 inmates, 7 females, and we have females out in other counties that have been arrested, but we cannot transfer them over here because we have no space for them. I want to also inform you that the radios are back working 100%. However, our generators are already on order, so they should be getting here pretty soon. The paging system of our radio system is still being worked on, so we should have some results in the coming weeks. Want to also inform you that DPS is asking for housing within our department because of their facilities in San Diego that they've had problems with. But we will be looking at that and meeting with our county attorney, trying to get things going. We have issued other warrants on inmates that are in custody on some sexual abuse, sexual assaults. That will be coming up in the next couple of hours. We also have other pending cases of burglary and criminal mischief that we're working on. Some arrests were made by Patrol and Traffic Division within the city limits. So just want to inform you about that. And again, I'm glad everybody's doing good and we wish you well. I know that we got vaccines today and tomorrow. Our officers are out there participating and helping out with the traffic control. That's all I have for the commissioners and the judge this morning.
Thank you,
I know
Sheriff.
I have 2 other items. Yes. Yes, sir.
No, thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Sheriff,
Commissioner.
and thank your men for all their hard work and everything they did. They were out there, out and about, and some of us that were able to get around, but they managed to do a great job and stay on top of everything. So it was
I
not
will
easy.
relay that information to him, Judge. Thank you so much.
Anybody else, commissioners? Anybody else would like to make any comments right now at this time?
Judge, I wanted to address the court, but I'd like to reserve my time when we get to action item 15.
Yes.
If that's okay with you.
That's the way we're working it. Each agenda item, if there's anyone to speak on that agenda, we'll allow that at the time.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that I had requested from the Red Cross 20 pallets of water
Yes.
and some food and some cleaning supplies. And yesterday they called that they're delivering the water on Saturday.
Mhm.
So,
I had a
Where
phone
at?
call from the Red Cross.
Where at?
well, we were gonna put it at Jesse's yard for,
Where?
at the yard over there because we don't have room in our facility. And then from there, y'all can get it from there.
Well, how about we do something else? Because since I wasn't aware of it and you made contact with the Red Cross, I've been keeping in touch with them and they've been supplying us with the water and all the materials. I think we can use the fairgrounds as a little bit better location to store this.
Well, I didn't want to take it over there because we're gonna be doing the vaccines and they're doing testing all week long there.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
Is there another facility?
But
that we
from
can-
there,
Do the
from there, every precinct,
text dot.
but from there, every
How many
precinct
cases
was
are
gonna
there?
pick up their
How
own.
many pallets?
There's no guarantee like the
How many
Red Cross
pallets?
said.
They're 20.
You know,
I doubt we'll get the 20. I doubt
I
it.
think
They
I
told me
agree with-
already.
I agree with the judge, you know, there's, in that merchant building, you can
You can
store
still put
20
them in there. Well, I
cases.
just, because of that.
Yeah, we have that Bobcat there that, you know, we can unload it, you know, and
That
then,
helps a lot
and
too.
then
that-
everybody can take their.
That's fine.
I
We
think
can
Five
speak.
pallets
Go to my
apiece?
office and from there, we'll
that-
take them
that's-
wherever.
That's only me
pallets apiece?
saying, you know, it's,
Huh?
5 pallets?
5 pallets each
Yeah.
precinct.
Good deal.
Okay, well, thanks, Margie, for that.
Thank you.
You. And
What's the decision?
The decision would be the text dot location or the
Text dot,
merchant's
I mean,
building.
you know,
Text dot, I think is a little easier accessible and it won't interfere with
Yeah,
the,
whatever, you know, it
Yeah.
just,
it's just a storage location where we can have the waters
You're
there.
gonna go
And from
pick
there,
them
we
up.
can,
I
we
think
can
so.
figure out a location where to distribute them. Just like it did worked out the last time. I wanted to give thanks to the
I can
Casey
set up
Hall
the-
and those
I can
folks.
set up the guys over there tomorrow, you want.
But yeah, while we're at it, I mean, yeah, there's no representative from Red Cross and Texas Department of Emergency Management, but they've been wonderful. We've been on the phone with them every day, Red Cross, and I hear that. So it's good, a good team effort because everybody's calling in at the same time. So they're seeing that we have that demand and that need, and we talk to them every day regularly. And they're limited also, and I've given them all the thanks because they're spread thin and they have to get those pallets. Usually, I think I understood that there was a request for 20 pallets and all that.
Yes.
But I think that all they could guarantee was 4 pallets for sure. So that's up to the Red
Then,
Cross to
then,
distribute.
the different precincts pick up their pallets or?
Yeah, once we get them, we can go ahead and
Get 'em,
distribute them
I'll
equally
call
to
y'all.
each.
I'll text y'all, because they're gonna
Commissioner.
come in Saturday. And they're
Sa-
coming, the delivery truck is coming to.
Saturday? Well, they're gonna unload them there and then we just pick them up at
Yeah.
the.
We'll make sure that we,
Do y'all have a forklift there, we should?
Yeah, I can get you one.
Yeah, okay, so we can load?
yeah,
Okay.
those pallets are pretty.
That way, you probably wanna come and load your
Your
pallets.
trucks, yeah. Okay.
Well, deal, we can take care of it tomorrow. That way you don't have to mess with, you see, you're gonna be over here.
Yes, right now, we'll apportion everybody, each their pallet that way each commissioner has to be distribute to their constituents.
And so, of course, we had ordered 2,500 meals and cleaning supplies, so they're supposed to get back.
How are
with us.
those meals gonna work?
They're like, I guess, the military meals, right?
they're
They
like
They're,
freeze and
frozen?
warm them.
They're
That's what-
MREs. There's little packages, MREs,
Okay,
like the old, they're pretty,
so how do you distribute
survival
those
mode.
How do you distribute those? Just through,
They come in boxes.
with the water?
yeah, in addition
Okay.
to the water, yeah.
Okay, just let me know when we can pick them up, right? So we can go at the same time that we can.
Let's be on the same page and we'll coordinate. Let us know, Margie, when it
The
gets there.
other
That way
thing
we all,
I coordinated was, we're getting, food for 200 families in Tecolote on Monday.
Mhm.
And it's through the food bank, but they didn't have no truck drivers, so I called LNF and they're using one of their
Providing one of their
refrigerated trucks to bring the
units.
food.
excellent. I also like to mention that Christus Pond Hospital's been doing an excellent job and their team out there at the fairgrounds. I mean, superb job. I can't say enough about Mr. Rick Morin, the administrator, and Ms. Margaret Rios out there. They have done excellent, and with all the support that we've given them, all the volunteers and our employees and our resources, they've done an excellent job. They've been out there this morning at 5. They didn't have but they called out to all the surrounding
Actually,
communities.
the line were a little short this morning.
It was a little
But
short.
when I left, it was already full.
It was already filled in.
Yeah, it's,
And the cars were coming in, so
Amazing how
yeah, they were
Facebook
still
works.
coming in, but
they were still
at
coming
5
in.
o'clock in the morning, there was
there was
very,
only
very few
300.
people there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to also announce that Mr. Morin and some of the team there also made calls to the surrounding communities, Freer, San Diego, Benavides, for some of their teachers, administration staff to bring them in, and they were coming in. And so they were very grateful that we made the call out there. Some of these rural areas that don't have access or don't have these hubs like we do, we've been blessed, and we've been very fortunate to have had the hub here when it started. So a lot of these rural communities are still not getting paid attention to or addressed. So we calling them out and then coming in. And so we're going to continue that cooperation and that.
And I know that
support.
they had gotten a double dose for the first dose and a double dose for the second dose.
Yeah.
And they gave one of the batches to their clinic in Freer, so they're gonna be taking appointments over there.
Excellent. And then the next step would be to get onto, and Commissioner
Well,
Gonzalez and I about some of the mobile units, but that'll be something else that has to be worked on and planned on to see what agency and who can work on that. And there are Texas teams and military teams that
the
eventually will come
military's getting
online.
involved now, no?
What's that?
The military's already starting to get involved.
To be able to mobilize, to be able to get out to the rural areas where people can't reach us to get out here. So, and people that don't want to risk to come out that have been already isolated for a while. And I've spoken to a lot of those folks, and I can understand they don't want to breach their safe bubble. So hopefully when that time comes, we'll get with the military and coordinate with the National Guard about that. So again, kudos to Chris Despan and all their excellent team and everybody else that volunteered, all the employees that have been working. Excellent. What else would I like to make? Oh yeah, let me make this announcement real quick. We, the Federal Emergency Management Agency that we've been discussing, and Mr. Acuna and I have been in contact on a daily basis with. Obviously, everybody knows that the additional 31 counties that were added, that weren't initially added, that should have been added to the system, and there's still 180 counties that are still waiting to. And I can't understand why all across Texas was affected with this freeze and this weather storm. So, but that's something up to the Texas FEMA and the president's team to determine how much they're going to allow and how much or who's going to qualify to be added, which counties. I thought that all 254 counties should have done. And that was the understanding from the beginning, that they should have all been covered with the declaration of the president. But then he chose 77 only. And then we all understood that, and I don't think there's an additional, I'm not sure what the rest of the counties are going to do, but we're trying to support every single one of our neighbors in our counties to also be added to that
But they have
list.
to be patient. It's a long process.
Yes, it is a long process. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. It's a patience. It's about everybody wants instant,
I
immediate
know,
action.
I had posted a 1-800 number for FEMA on Facebook.
Yes.
And yesterday we got a call of some lady that she had already
Been in contact with
been in
FEMA?
contact. They had already given her a case number and they were gonna help her.
So the additional approval, of course, the additional approval included Jim Wells County, and for those residents within Jim Wells County who have experienced damage directly to the winter storm, those individuals are encouraged to visit the website. We're gonna post it on our website in emergency management in the county, which is www.disasterassistance.gov to begin the individual assistance process. That's gonna take some time, so everybody's gotta provide documentation and forms that they require. And those that do not have access to the internet, there's the 1-844-844-3089 between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m., 7 days a week, to submit their disaster damage information. We'll post that information for those that don't have internet access, and I'll give that information to everyone, that 1-800 number. And if needed, the state emergency management professional will visit impacted homes to collect photos and documentation of damage for the validation process. So there's gonna be teams sent out to assess the damage, but they're limited, so everybody's gotta be, patient and just make sure you get your documents together, residents, and all the paperwork that's required that they're asking. And also, our residents are urged to fill out, it's an ISTAT form, and that'll be online, or they'll mail it to you online or over the phone if the internet access is limited, to help the state identify damages across Texas and help emergency management officials gain understanding of the damages that occurred during the recent severe winter weather event. And this data is also needed to provide information to FEMA and highlight the needed federal disaster assistance for individuals. So those surveys are still good to continue filling out, because that gives FEMA an idea, once we send that in, of how much need there is, so that way they can start sending their individual people that may assist these individuals.
And according to the numbers that Acuna gave us, only 132 people have
So far,
replied.
yes. So far, I've replied. It was a low number, but that's why we're encouraging, and we're gonna put some more of that on there. But anyone that has had significant damage or that is experiencing that, they've already contacted. The ones with the more serious damage, of course, parts and pieces and PVC are a rarity right now, and it's very slim, those materials. So we're even having trouble with plumbers and finding professional plumbers to come in and actually certified to do the work. So we're experiencing that shortage of plumbers there. So kid, hey, that's a great profession. I should have done that and stuck to that business a long time ago. But it's a great profession. It's a good thing. So we need more plumbers out there and people to help our community, but that's a shortage all across this area. I think we have an agenda item on the burn ban, correct? So I won't go over that right now. I'll make that announcement when we get there. But any other comments at this time? Would anybody else like to say anything? Okay, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 4, consider approving minutes from previous meetings.
Move for approval.
Okay,
Aye, second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve them. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
And all those opposed, motion passes. Agenda item number 5, consider and take action to approve United Connections Counseling resolutions in support of Project Juntos, Empowering Survivors Program, and At-Risk Youth Safety Initiative grant applications. Do we have anybody for United Connections here?
Good morning. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Belinda Morin, and I'm representing UCC today. Yes, we have the resolutions. We actually have 3. We have the Project Juntos and Empowering Survivors. Those are continuing grants that we all signed for. I believe it was in October. And just to refresh everyone's memory, Project Juntos deals with child sex trafficking. So we're offering prevention education and counseling services for those that may have fallen victim to child sex trafficking. And Empowering Survivors, we provide advocacy and counseling services for victims of crime. And then the At-Risk Youth Safety Initiative, it focuses on prevention education for kids. It focuses on substance abuse prevention and delinquency and truancy prevention. We're trying to get it like in the schools. Me personally, I would like to offer the services to Alice ISD, but I would also like to offer the services to the smaller districts. I'm from Realitos, so I have like a soft spot for smaller districts. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to go into those schools and provide that kind of education to prevent youth from getting involved like in the juvenile justice system. And we're hoping that with all these grants that we're applying for, that as the funding's coming in, we can show need, the state of Texas, then that we have a need down here so that they can start funneling more funds and more programs our way.
Great. Ms. Modine, I know that we approved this about a year ago, right? The initial applications or grants. Did you submit that?
We submitted it because of what had happened with COVID. I believe you all signed the first 2 in October.
Okay. And so any response from that or any type of status or anything that we've?
Well, the Empowering Survivors, we have had a number of people like that need services and stuff like that. We've gotten in contact with the county attorney and the district attorney. So we kind of collaborating there. To be honest, with the child trafficking, I've noticed that a lot of people really don't understand exactly what child sex trafficking is. I think it gets confused with labor trafficking, like child labor, and then the sex trafficking. I think people kind of like, they ball it all together when it's 2 separate problems. So for this particular grant, for the continuation of the Project Juntos, I'm actually requesting more funds for education, to educate the community and like provide awareness of exactly what child sex trafficking is. Because again, I think a lot of times people think like that it's only like in the poor, or that it only happens like where there's poorness, or like it only comes from the valley, because like they think that they're getting transported, and that's not what the definition of sex trafficking is. Sorry.
We're gonna clarify that. We can clarify, and we should, and that would be important to the community.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Shush.
You can proceed with informing.
I'm so sorry. Stop.
So, okay, commissioners, do we have any questions regarding these 3? There's 3 resolutions. I guess we have to read all 3 resolutions. They're pretty lengthy. So,
Do I take a motion on?
yeah, if I could take a motion on this
I'll go ahead and
action
make a
item.
motion to accept item number 5 as presented, Judge.
I second the
Okay, I
motion.
have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Ms. Modine, thank you very much for that, and we'll be in touch and keep us posted.
I appreciate your time. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I got 3 resolutions here. I'm going to read out as much as I can, quickly as I can here. And a resolution authorizing the executive director to submit an application to the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division, apply for residential community-based services for victims of the commercial sexual exploitation of youth. Whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners Court finds it in the best interest of the citizens of Jim Wells County Commissioners Court region that the Project Juntos be operated for the year 2022, and whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners Court agrees not to provide matching funds for the use of the said project, as matching funds are not required by the Criminal Justice Division for the residential community-based services for victims of commercial sexual exploitation of youth application. And whereas the Jim Wells County Commissioners Court agrees that in the event of loss or misuse of Office of the Governor's funds, Jim Wells County Commissioners Court assures that the funds will be returned to the Office of the Governor in full. Whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners Court designates the executive director as the grantee's authorized official, the authorized official is given the power to apply for, accept, reject, or alter, terminate the grant on behalf of the applicant agency. Now therefore it be resolved that Jim Wells County Commissioners Court hereby authorizes the executive director to prepare and submit a grant application to implement Project Juntos to the Office of Governor, Criminal Justice Division for the year 2022. The executive director is further authorized to enter into an agreement with the Criminal Justice Division to receive those funds for the above stated duly adopted at the meeting of Jim Wells County Commissioners Court on the 26th day of February. Okay, and that's that resolution. And I have another resolution in the Empowering Survivors Program, whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners Court finds it in the best interest of citizens of Jim Wells County Commissioners Court region that Empowering Survivors Program be operated for the 2022, and whereas the Jim Wells County Commissioners Court agrees not to provide matching funds for the use of said project, as matching funds are not required by the Criminal Justice Division for the General Direct Services Grant Program application. And whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners Court agrees that the event of loss or misuse of the funds, that we would return those funds back to the governor's office. Whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners Court designates executive director as grantee's authorized official. The authorized official is given the power to apply for, accept, And that's the same stipulations for each one of this grant. So therefore it be resolved that on the 26th day of February 2021, Commissioners Court approved this particular General Direct Services Grant Program. And now we have the Juvenile Justice and Truancy Prevention application, whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners Court agrees that in the event of loss or misuse of the funds, of the Governor's funds, Jim Wells County Commissioners assures that the funds will be returned to the office, whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners Court designates the Executive Director as a grantee also, like the previous grants. We have that authorization that we give them. Now therefore be it resolved that Jim Wells County Commissioners Court authorizes the Executive Director to prepare and submit an application to implement At-Risk Youth Safety Initiative to the Office of Governor, Criminal Justice Division for year 2022. Jim Wells County Commissioners approves and accepts on this 26th day of February 2021. That's good right there. I tried to get through that. So we accepted it. Thank you all, commissioners. We're going to proceed to the next presentation. Number 6, presentation of 22 racial profiling statistics for Jim Wells County Sheriff's Office as required by the statute.
Good morning, Sheriff Judge again. This is the Sheriff running to let you know about our motor vehicle racial profiling information. Our report has already been submitted to the state as mandatory by the state. You should have a copy of the report in your folder. It's got to be presented before the commissioners, so this is what I'm doing today. It will indicate the gender of the people that were pulled over. It indicates the citations, ethnicity, as well as recovery of currency, as well as citations issued, and all that information is on there. It is in our system and it's already been provided to the state. It is mandatory that we have this in place every year. So just want to report to the commissioners that it has been reported and it is in place, and we do have copies of it. I know that you have a copy of it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me at this time.
We're good, Sheriff. Thank you for providing these numbers and statistics. I think you've fulfilled your part, the mandate. Commissioners, any questions regarding this?
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Number 7, discuss and consider resolution allowing the Jim Wells County Sheriff's Office to accept and operate under the 2020 Operation Stone Garden Grant for overtime in the amount of $221,339.03. Grant number 3194406.
This is in order to start utilizing.
Okay, sir, this is again requesting to start utilizing the grant that's available to us for this amount of money on overtime and procedures and projects.
Commissioners,
This is money that's already available to us.
okay.
Make a motion to accept item number 7. Judges present.
Okay.
In the motion.
I have a motion on the floor in a second. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Sheriff. We got
Thank
one
you,
more.
Judge. Thank you, commissioners.
Yes, sir. Agenda item number 8, discuss and consider enrolling Jim Wells County employees in the Texas Association of County Cybersecurity Certified Course pursuant to Texas HB 3834. Do we have Cindy or anyone speaking on or available regarding this?
Michael or
Commissioner, Honorable Judge, this is one of the mandatory courses that all the county employees have to take to learn about cybersecurity awareness, like how they deal with their email, how they get on the computer. I want to make sure they're aware of what they're getting on with. Because there's a lot of cyber terror attack virus out there. We don't want to make sure that all employees are aware of that.
So you're recommending that training for each employee?
It's mandatory. They have to
Mandatory,
do it
no?
every year.
Wow.
It's mandatory to take it, to do it. I make a motion.
Is that required? I'm sorry,
It's
before we,
required.
for all employees or just department heads? and
Anybody
people
that
like that?
handles a computer.
Any computer systems, yeah. I know when I read that, it was kind of vague, but I guess it's everyone. And we have to submit that, I guess, to
To the TAC, the Texas Associated County.
Association of Counties?
And it's basically for employees, they work with computer.
Okay, all right.
Robert, I have a question. We took this course, myself and my staff, we took this course last year. How often do we have to take it and when is the deadline?
Robert.
Do we know when the deadline is? I know Mr. Guerra mentioned that
Okay,
his staff already took it.
The deadline that they have to take the course is before June 16th.
June 16th is the date.
Okay, we have to submit it.
And is this annually, like Mr. Guerra asked?
Annually.
Every year, annually?
Yes, sir.
'Cause we already took one, Robert, so that takes us to June, or is this another one?
I'm sorry.
We already,
We had taken one, most of the initial training had been done.
yeah, we took one maybe a few months back.
Yeah,
That we are we required to take, is this a new one?
Yeah, we have to take it, even though it's the
It's a
same
new one,
classes,
but,
we
okay,
still have to take it again.
Okay,
okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Commissioner Garcia, second. All those in favor say aye.
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 And all those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Robert. Agenda item number 9. Consideration and approval of offer to purchase tax sale property suit number 1612-16872B, La Gloria Independent School District, Jim Wells County and Bush County Country Groundwater Conservation District versus Rogelio Barrera and Ninfa Barrera, account number 1190004500010. Okay. Let's see here. We have an offer to purchase of tax sale property. The suit in the account that we mentioned for 1.80 acres or more or less out of Block 5 subdivision of lands in addition to the town site of La Gloria, Jim Wells County, as described in the deed dated June 8th, 1987, from Earl Rogers to Rogelio Barrera or Bermea, Medex, volume 488, page 1618, deed records of Jim Wells County. So an offer has been made by Next Lots Properties LLC, PO Box 87, Lancaster, Texas 75146, in the amount of $4,600 for the purchase of a tax sale property owned in trust by the Jim Wells County taxing authorities. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion, Judge, to accept item number 9 is presented.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to accept this offer and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 And all those opposed? Motion is passed. Thank you. Agenda item number 11, discuss and act upon a resolution agreement for the purpose of procuring a motor grader and related equipment for Commissioner Precinct number 3.
I think you missed one, Judge. Number 10.
I missed number 10?
Presentation of the racial.
That's right, we got it right here. And that's the same one, and we got another one of the racial profiling. Presentation of 2020 racial profiling statistics for Jim Wells County Constable Precinct 3, Jim Long, as amended. I'm sorry, I confused both. So each entity has to, do we have Mr. Long or anybody that's gonna report?
He's on there.
Okay,
I'm here, Judge.
Constable? You may
Can
proceed.
you hear me, Judge?
Yeah, I can hear, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. It's just a presentation. It's not an action item. Every agency in Jim Wells County has to make this report to their governing body. It's due by March 1st. A full report, including a comparative analysis or an exempt status for anybody that doesn't make any traffic stops. This was submitted to T. Cole. These are all due by March 1st.
Thank you, Constable.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir.
You have the numbers? Yeah.
Presentation.
Yeah, it's a presentation. We got all the numbers here. And I don't know if they were made available to you guys on the, but we'll make them available. We have the entire report here. It should be attached, right? Okay. Margie, would you like to look at it?
No, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Now we're moving on to the resolution agreement of the motor grader 11, discussing act upon a resolution agreement for the purpose of procuring a motor grader and related equipment for Commissioner Precinct 3. Okay. What do we got?
We are going to, we already had the motor grader but now we're switching it out because we've been having problems with it, and we're going from a certain size to a little bit smaller size. And we're going through government capital, and so I wanted to get it through Commissioner's Court.
Okay. Commissioners, any suggestions, any concerns, any questions or anything?
So do you have the contract? Because that's what we have to approve.
I know, I'm,
We need to get a contract or see how much interest
Government
you're gonna
capital.
charge or how much the payment or.
Okay.
So-
And you usually have to get with Noe, and he helps you get that.
Okay.
just submit and clarify all that to make it clear.
Okay, I'll get it with
And,
Nanda.
And at
I
this,
think the auditors were okay with it.
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay, I make a motion to approve.
okay, I have a motion on the floor. And
I'll second it.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Motion passes. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Anything else, like I said, and Linda can help you with the rest of that submission because we have to approve and all that, so she can help you guide, give you a guideline as to, that's fine.
Okay.
Hey, we'll all get on the same page here. I think I'm missing some of my agenda stuff, but I must have left it out when I was going through it earlier this morning. The resolution, there's a resolution that was attached, no? That we have to read?
Does,
Okay. Just a resolution agreement that I
does
don't have.
Juan Acuña have it? Cause he's on there too.
I might have it right here. Let's just be a little, let me find out here. I got all kinds of stuff here. Okay. The Jim
Which
Wells
one are you
County-
looking for? Which one are you looking for, Judge?
For the, that
Okay.
agreement on the purpose of procuring the motor grader. I have all the other resolutions, but that one I must have left out on the motor grader. Was that provided?
I did have an email from Linda on that. I don't remember what all was attached. What I was looking for was the wording for the agenda item, which is what we put on there.
Okay, well, that's good. That should be good enough for now, right? Till we get.
That's good enough because we have the follow-up. The auditors will have to look it over, and then there's a document that you'll need to sign, and then the letter from my office.
Before we read the resolution, right? And then we'll get that read into the record, right? The next meeting.
Well, we don't have anything to read at this point.
All right.
But we can get all that paperwork, and if we need to follow up, we can do it on March 8th.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Guerra. You got that, Miss Jump?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get it going. We'll get you that grader one way or another.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, agenda item number 12, consider and take action to vacate burn ban. Okay, the burn ban update right now. I know there's been a lot of questions, a lot of concerns, a lot of folks wanting to burn and lift the burn ban. We just had a couple of fires last week that broke out of control. So we had all our resources out there, including neighboring counties, and that helped also put out those fires. Obviously, we had a hard freeze. Obviously, there's dry foliage everywhere and just brown and gray everywhere. It's just disastrous. So anyone and anything that lights a fire, any of these embers are gonna just catch big time. And we cannot put our frontline workers, our firefighters, and everybody in harm's way every time.
Continue the burn ban?
I think that's the recommendation, Mr. Acuna, was that we continue the burn ban until we see some moisture. We had also incidents where we had equipment also roll over, accidents. Our resources were strained very thin and stretched really thin. And I had a call during the freeze from the media and from folks around, and it was kind of interesting. They said, well, y'all don't have any water, but if y'all have a fire that breaks out, well, we're gonna take care of the safety and the concern of the residents first than any other structure. So we were in that predicament, but we.
The ranchers and farmers that qualified through the CD exemptions. You know, those are need to be considered.
We do need to consider the exemptions for landowners, people that qualify, that fall under that criteria.
Agriculture.
And even then, we had that happen where they do have that exemption, but there's still that concern, and it's on them, as long as they report it, as long as they have that fire berms,
As long
safety.
as they come through the commissioner.
That's all. And to clarify it one more time, it's gotta be contact the Jim Wells County Sheriff's Department dispatch, correct? That's all that needs to be done, and once we get that, that way the law enforcement and any responders are aware of it.
Fire department for sure.
The fire
We call
department.
both, yeah, we call the sheriff and the fire
So,
department.
Mr.
Okay,
Guerra.
let's clarify.
Mr. Guerra, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, because right here it says, reminder that even though there are exceptions to the burn ban, current weather conditions need to be observed and taken into consideration. So there is exceptions.
And the two main ones, you know, a lot of y'all have reached out to me. I've gotten calls directly from area farmers and ranchers. The main two exceptions that apply in our situation are root plowing in preparation for planting a field, then you can burn. Okay, once again, Mr. Acuna set out that the wind has to be less than 20 miles an hour. You have to notify your fire department. You've got to plow some burn you make some plow lines all around what you're going to burn so that it doesn't escape. That's one exception. The other one is if you have the burn ban, if you have a licensed burn manager, and we actually do have some people like that, and a lot of the people have been inquiring. I've directed them to that, and I said, look, you've got great reasons. They come for, well, we're in the ag program. We've got to do this. We've got, we can't wait any longer. And I said, look, the burn ban is very specific. There's only these 2 exceptions. And if you maybe get somebody to get these permits, and if they have a license to do it, and we like Commissioner Huicho Gonzalez, I know you've got a constituent in your precinct that has one of these.
Yes,
and as long as that person is there present during the entirety of the burn, then you're okay. Provided they comply with the other things, notifying the dispatch office, for example, and the local fire department. So I'm encouraging some of these ranch managers that are calling to go ahead and go through the process and get licensed and get permitted. And then, they won't have so many. I did ask Mr. Acuna, would it be possible, for example, that one constituent that you've got, Commissioner Huicho, he works for one particular ranch. Could he hire out as a contract labor?
We lost the voice for a little bit. Okay. Yeah, let me just finish that up. I know Mr. Guerra's got a lot going on, but yes.
How about now? Can y'all hear me now?
There you go.
You can
Yes,
hear
sir.
Okay. What did I cut out?
At the point where you we're talking about that one employee that can contract out.
Right. And so Mr. Acuna was going to check into that to see if that's legal. For example, one ranch could borrow this employee for the day and conduct their burn as long as the person is present on the premises. Gotcha. That might be a solution in the short term, but long term, these ranches and farms need to look into getting one of their employees licensed. And that's exception number 4.
That's a great recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Guerra, for that.
Mr. Guerra, we're checking in with the Forest Service as well, so we're waiting on an answer on that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Acuna.
Thank you, Mr. Acuna.
Also, any wind over 20 miles an hour should result in the controlled burn ban request to be declined until wind subsides. That's no exceptions. The winds are
right. That's if you have a license or not. If it's over 20 miles, you can't do it.
Okay. Anyone else want to have any comments on this? No?
Yeah, no action on this.
Okay. So the burn ban continues on until we get further notice. Thank you.
Well, on that issue, Judge, and Mr. Acuna, maybe you can help. I think we adopted this around the last week of December.
That's correct, on December 28th.
Yeah, and they're good for 90 days, correct?
Right, this one goes until March 28th.
Okay, so on or before March 28th, we need to decide if we need to extend it or lift it.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, it'll expire on its own if we don't extend it.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor to continue the ban in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Can we already extend it at this time or no?
I would recommend you don't yet, Commissioner, because we're going to have a couple of meetings before it expires, and things may, hopefully we get some rain.
Yes, that's the idea, and hopefully we get that. So let's not extend it any further than the March, and then we'll revisit that again.
Right.
So I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Guerra, Mr. Acuna. Agenda item number 13, consider to take action to authorize county judge to designate date, time, and location of organizational meeting of commissioners of Emergency Service District number 2.
Judge, that'll be the one.
Judge, I don't know if Estella brought you the form that I drew up this morning.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's a short order, and those are the dates that the fire chief was unavailable this morning. He's in another meeting with FEMA, and he asked me to announce this for him. It's got 3 possible dates. The time would be 6 p.m. and the location would be the cafeteria of the Ben Bolt Palito Blanco High School.
Yes, sir. He's requesting March 5th, 8th, or 11th.
March 5th, 8th, or 11th.
Right. I'll just looking at any of those dates, depending on when they can get a quorum.
Okay, so we'll leave those dates open. Is that fine, commissioners? And we'll go by what's already been listed here.
Does it be open to the public or no?
It should be.
It is open to the public. It's subject to the Texas Open Meetings Act. It needs to be posted 72 hours in advance. All the regular rules apply.
Okay, all the open meetings
wanna-
record, all the opens meetings rules apply.
You want to designate one of the dates?
So they want you to pick a date, right?
No, they don't. They're gonna pick a date. They want you to authorize any of those dates,
Yes.
and then they're gonna see when they can get a quorum together.
Sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Guerra. Commissioners, do we have approval on this?
I'll make a motion to accept item number 13, Judge, with the dates presented.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Motion passes. Okay, let's see. Order of County Judge. Whereas on May 4th, 2019, voters approved the creation of Jim Wells County Emergency Services District Number 2. Whereas the Jim Wells County Commissioners Court has appointed the required number of commissioners to form the governing board of the new district. Whereas Jim Wells County Judge Juan Rodriguez Jr. is designated authority to designate the date, time, and location of the board's organizational meeting. Now therefore, I, Juan Rodriguez Jr., County Judge of Jim Wells County, do hereby declare that the board of Jim Wells County Emergency Services District Number 2 shall hold the organizational meeting in accordance with the following, and that the notice of such meeting shall be posted in accordance with the provision of the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. This order is adopted on this day of February 26, 2021. Okay. We need them all signed, huh, JC? All copies? I'll get that. Okay, let me get this other agenda item going. Agenda item number 14, consider and take action to adopt a resolution in opposition to the permit renewal of Blackhorn Environmental Services LLP.
We have several speakers on that.
Okay, JC, if we could have our first speaker come in.
Patrick Murray.
Patrick Murray.
Patrick.
Mr. Patrick? Mr. Murray?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
We have this agenda item open, so we may proceed. I know we got several speakers that are coming. Okay. You may proceed, Mr. Murray, when you're.
Judge, Commissioners. So I'm here today. My name is Patrick Murray, and I'm here to see what y'all are gonna talk about and what y'all are gonna put forth to the permit renewal for Blackhorn Environmental Services. I'd like to know why Jim Wells County approved this site in the first place. And
Can I respond to that right quick?
yes, sir.
It wasn't, we didn't approve it, the state did.
Okay.
We fought it,
We fought it. Yeah.
but, unsuccessfully, we
Railroad Commission.
we took a resolution to the state, we took a lot of stuff to the state, but at the end, they approved it. So, go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Oh, Mr. Murray, after Mr. Garcia commented, I'd like to make a real quick comment. That was before some of our time here, but I understand there was a big effort to try to keep it from establishing at the location it was or anywhere within the area, but there's other entities and other agencies that have oversight over those type of businesses, and that's specifically the Railroad Commission and the TCEQ, Texas Environmental Quality. Who was the other one, ma'am? Go ahead. Railroad?
TCEQ does not control them. All they
No.
can do is
Is-
monitor them and catch them when they do. something.
Right. TCEQ does look at that. To be clear to the community, JC, do you want it? On the TCEQ issue, yeah, the only thing, but Railroad Commission specifically is the one that regulates them. They're the ones that have the authority to issue the permits, location, and all of that. TCEQ does, like anybody else, investigate and follow up on any issues that regarding the environmental quality of the water, the land, and the air. So that is something, an agency that oversees a lot of these facilities that deal in the oil and gas industry and any of that type of. So yes, you're correct specifically on that. Yes, they do. And actually, TCEQ doesn't have any authority on the permitting issue. They can recommend to Railroad, and Railroad Commission can either take the recommendations or not. So ultimately, it's up to the board of the Railroad Commission. And I believe it's a 5-member board, I believe. Three.
Did they go?
Okay, so it's 3-member board. So those 3 people are the ultimately across the state of Texas that either authorize or deny any of these permit requests. Anything else at this point right now? And all we can do is suggest or recommend, of course, we want to protect our citizens and our residents of that area. And we want to make that clear. And I've made that clear on some off the record phone calls that have come in from residents and everyone else, including some of those folks out there, but we've not cooperated, or we have not had any conversations or anything. So we can get to this point and find out, because the agency itself, the Railroad Commission, we can send up requests. We can, as Mr. Garcia mentioned before.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that we're on your side.
And that's what we want. We
Jim
need
Wells
y'all
County's
support,
on your
guys.
side.
Oh, no,
We just
most
have to fight
definitely.
the state. That's what the problem is.
And that way, just to clear it up, that by no means, I know we've had a lot of requests, a lot of information requests to the county and to our offices, and that we know of, to this point, there has been no communication, no interaction, no support, no nothing whatsoever. We're not, in other words, associated or related or other than that they do business in our county, as well as many other outfits and companies that are regulated by other agencies that exist within our boundaries. Commissioners, anything else on that part right there?
But you could continue, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to say, that this facility, it moved in and it's getting residents sick. It's also getting the members of the TCEQ that are going out to investigate, they're getting sick. And the heavy traffic trucks are destroying the county roads that are narrow and old, and the bridges are old, and the taxpayers are the ones that are flipping the bill for that, which is coming out of, our precinct's money. We just want y'all support to help us to try and, eliminate this situation for all of us. Myself and a lot of the other residents that live in the area, we've invested a lot of our blood, sweat, tears, and money into our places, and this place is destroying it. I have 3 children of my own, and I do not want any of my family members to get sick from this. That's not including all the other residents that have family that live in the area too. So it's a bad deal, guys. We need some help.
If I could tell you something, sir,
Yes, sir.
if I could advise you for anything, it would be that don't give up. Take it all the way as far as you can, because we had one in Bembo, and let me tell you, we hated it because it smelled very bad. If it's polluting everything, we knew it was bad. We just couldn't fight the big guys up there. But don't give up. Eventually you'll win. They shut it down already. So there's hope. There's hope.
We've contacted our state representative, J.M. Lozano.
Yeah.
And he's helped get the TCQ motivated to help us, but who can y'all contact to help us with the Railroad Commission or I mean, what do we need to do? What can we do?
Is there any way, like weight limits on roads?
Yes, that was brought up the last time. The initial time this got brought up was limiting the weight on the
Mhm.
trucks.
Okay, and that's a text, we would have to coordinate with TxDOT, see what exactly it is, what our limitations are.
Speed limit and weight on the trucks.
Weight and speed, and that's something TxDOT that we would have to,
The speed limits is very simple. Actually, we're working on it. We just need to identify all the county roads that need speed limit. We need to make sure that we cover all of them.
be consistent.
That the weight, we don't have no control over that. I think they can actually get a permit from the state. So, but I think we're working on the speed limits.
Okay, good.
Mr. Commissioner Gonzalez had a good suggestion, and I'm aware of that other location.
Yeah, we will support you 100%. It's just, don't give up.
That's
I
the
mean, you
biggest
gotta keep fighting
concern,
for it.
and
we
you know,
got your back,
It's frustrating on our part because the attempts that we made, and they made it very clear to us, they'll take all the recommendations, complaints, anything in that direction, and to continue submitting that to the Railroad Commission. Yeah, clearly TCEQ has filed numerous complaints, and they have that established and documented, and has submitted that to the Railroad Commission and to other entities as well. So yes, that's the biggest concern for us. This came up again. I know y'all have been dealing with it for some time, and we're back again at the process to where the application and the reinstatement of that permit is up in the air, right? I think there's some the Texas Railroad Commission has meetings scheduled here soon. They've already heard hearings and submissions and testimony. Did anybody give any testimony, by the way? You appeared? Okay. All right. So all that's on the record that we understand, and in addition to that, this resolution here should add a little more weight to all your complaints, visits, and the attention that's been brought to this matter. So commissioners, how do y'all feel about this resolution, and do we have any Other questions, or do we have anybody else that would like to make? Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Tara Jones. I live on County Road 316,
welcome.
northwest of the facility. You know, as Patrick said, and we just said that we were part of the hearing, so we sat through 16 hours of hearing. So we learned a lot about the facility and the goings on and how they operate and how they don't operate. But one thing I'm going to kind of hit on the TCEQ information
Okay.
right here. This is 46 pages of odor logs that I have sent to the TCEQ. 46 pages.
And these pages were accumulated, or how were they?
I did them myself.
You did them.
I have to notate the date, the time, the temperature, how long it lasted, the wind direction, what did I smell? So I have been doing this since December 15th of 2019. Okay, so what they call this is citizens evidence. Okay, and as I said, they're odor logs.
Right.
And my time frame here, I'm at 63 weeks that I've been doing this. 63 weeks. I have 226 days with an average of 4.3 days per week that I step out of my house and I smelled this facility. In my observations, it could be 20 minutes in one day. It could be 18 hours. The only time we don't smell it is if we're asleep. So, and I've reached out to the TCQ as most recent as February 18th of this year. They had received 218 complaints. They've issued 1 notice of violation. They've issued 2 notice of enforcements. One of those notice of enforcements, a TCEQ investigator had to vacate the area because he was sick and was throwing up. I know that there are 2 more notice of enforcements in the pipeline right now, another of which an investigator was made sick. So the adverse health effects, they're not going to stop. This facility is at 5% capacity of 1 cell of 2 total cells.
5%.
This has just begun. I know the Green family has been made sick on 2 occasions. My family was just sickened December 9th. It's awful.
You can remove your mask if you'd like.
Sure.
Mhm.
Okay. The one point I want to hit home to the county is in the Railroad Commission, in the hearing, they briefly touched on what happens in an emergency situation. As the county, I think you should know that they are expecting y'all to take over the precedence of the emergency situation. My husband asked them in the hearing, and the words were, if upon arrival, the police or the fire department have been summoned, the police and fire department take precedence. Do our police and our fire departments know that? Can they even respond to an emergency situation at a facility like this? Do our volunteers have any experience? Do they have any training, education, anything? I'm worried what happens when we have an emergency.
Did that come up?
And they're putting that all on y'all.
Right. And our frontline workers, yeah. And
Yes.
our limited resources.
Yes.
Have we ever responded? Are you aware of anything?
Yes.
There's been a
2.
few
I
incidents.
think 2.
At least ones that I know of, and maybe 2.
Okay.
And they didn't know what to do.
They don't have the proper equipment. Our volunteer fire department was in the hearing, and they were expert testimony.
Right.
They don't have the equipment. They cannot respond. They can't test the air. They can only test air for propane leaks in a home. They can't respond. So just so y'all know, the onus has been put on you guys. And you probably don't know that.
No,
And
there's
we're
a-
not prepared for that.
Right.
And in the meantime, we've got, I think, 40 families within a 1-mile radius. I have smelled that facility as far away as 3 miles. So if we have that big of a radius, how many people how many citizens are in that circle? we got some major issues. So that's all I have to say on that. So we we're gonna have to do some preparing and
Ms. Jones, you've done a lot of hard work. You put a lot of effort and hours into this, and that's not gonna be overlooked and not mentioned. I'm glad you came today and presented us with that. It's a lot of hours and time, and your
It is.
children and everybody that's to deal with that.
and this is the face of our future that has to
Yes,
deal with
I
this
know, and
right here.
it's unacceptable. Commissioners, any other comments or?
My husband would like to add
Yes,
too.
yes. Sure, yeah, I just didn't know if they had any questions for you or anything. I don't know if you had any questions for
Thanks, Tara.
Ms. Jones.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning,
morning.
Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thanks for taking the time
Yes,
to listen
yes,
to
sir.
us.
Thank you for
and,
being here.
As my wife did say, we are Protestants. Us and the Greens were the only two that were able to actively participate in the hearing. The concerning thing, I was able to cross-examine Cody Bates, their HSE and compliance manager of the company. I do have an oil field background. I do work in the industry. I was not by any means testifying as a professional or anything. I was testifying as a citizen in Jim Wells County. But I do have some knowledge in the industry. And so I was able to ask some questions about their facility and ask questions about what we were smelling in the vapors and what waste that they're bringing in. We did touch on the safety systems they had in place. They don't, I know that there's been, in the Greens, I think actually, I don't want to speak for them, but I know that there's been some sour egg smell, like H2S is what we're assuming it is. I know that TCEQ has gotten some readings. It's not over the threshold that it's harmful, but they have gotten some positive readings. In the hearing, I asked, what kind of safety protocols do y'all have? And that's when I discovered that, we weren't going to get a notification from the facility if there was a release, whether it be a fluid release or a vapor release. They told me that I would probably get a phone call from the sheriff's department or fire department showing up saying, hey, y'all need to evacuate your property. So that kind of surprised us and figured that, there was probably no communication or training between
They don't have like an alarm
the
system or-
the county and the facility. It's pre-planning. If you're going to operate in our
Coordination,
county,
right? Coordinate.
hey,
and be on the same page.
if we're going to coexist, let's work together on this. It's would we like the facility shut down? Absolutely yes. But hey, the Railroad Commission gave them a permit. We do need facilities like this in our industry, but we need them to follow the laws in the state of Texas.
Strictly, yes. Like I said, that oversight.
We have to hold them accountable.
Right.
And I think where we are today is we have to hold the Railroad Commission accountable.
Other than permitting this facility and this organization, what else does the Railroad Commission do to other than allow this permit?
So the incident that we had on December 9th, I had been on a workover rig all day long. And I come home and it's, I don't know, 7:30, something like that. And we're sitting at the dinner table and my eyes are kind of starting to water, and I'm going, what's going on? And I could smell the facility when I got home. And, Tara asked, well, your eyes burning? I said, yeah, headache, nausea. I ended up with a metallic taste in my mouth. So, and this is the first time that I called the Railroad Commission. Of course, there's an answering service that answers, and I told the person that answered the phone, I said, I'd like to talk to the on-call technician. And I know that they have on-call people because I deal with the Railroad Commission.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, well, we'll have somebody call you back tomorrow. I said, ma'am, you don't understand. This is an emergency. I have ill health effects. My family has ill health effects. It's a Railroad Commission permitted facility. I need somebody to call me back. She says, okay, I'll pass it along. I hung up with them, called TCEQ. It was a on-call 24-hour person. They got me in touch with the person that was on call to make field visits. They responded. They showed up at our house that night. I never received a phone call back from Railroad Commission until the next morning, mid-morning, probably 9 o'clock. I had a lady called me and said, hey, do you still need to talk to somebody with the Railroad Commission? I said, yes, ma'am. I need to talk to the district director for District 4 in Corpus Christi. And she says, well, I can get you with the technician. I said, no, I want to talk to the director. This was an emergency. I never got a response. I talked to him, asked him if he knew of issues from the facility. You know, he was kind of arm's length away from it. I said, well, I told him all the concerns, what we were, the symptoms and stuff that we had the night before. And he says, well, just so you know, TCEQ has jurisdiction over odors. I said, I understand that, but Railroad Commission has jurisdiction over the waste that is being dumped in that facility in our county. So those two agencies need to work together. Historically, they have not worked together very well, and they're not working together very well now. I mean,
On this issue.
correct.
Did the TCEQ testify? Did they give testimony at the hearing?
Sir.
They did.
Actually, the technician or the investigator that got sick did testify. So I have some issues with the Railroad Commission. They did go out and do an investigation, and that's still ongoing. We're back and forth. I'm trying to get some answers to some questions. But I think the main point that I want to make today is this is the safety of, number one, for me, is my family. Number two, the citizens in the county that we live in the 40, 50 people or families that live around this facility, not to mention our other citizens in the county that drive up and down the roads. Last Tuesday, when we had the freezing weather and everything, I needed to go to Alice or come to Alice to Walgreens. I'm driving down 359. And there's a vacuum truck on the side of the road backing up. He passed the 308 up.
The turnoff.
He's backing up 359 while we got traffic, icy roads and all. I mean,
dangerous.
It's safe. It's a safety concern. And that's where we have to hold the Railroad Commission accountable. I mean, I know that their jurisdiction is the permit of the facility and the waste. TCEQ is odors, whether you want to call it nuisance odors or hazardous vapors that are coming from that facility. But what can we do? This is a safety. Is it going to take somebody getting hurt? Is it going to take me going to the hospital or me getting cancer in 2 years from this facility before somebody does something?
And does anybody test the water table?
Yes. Well, we've tested our personal water well.
Yes, we went and got water test. We have 3 water wells on our property, and we went and got a benchmark test of our water wells. But by the time our water, and it's not just going to be my water wells, it's going to be everybody else.
Water table, the whole water. Yeah.
It's going to be everybody else around us. By the time it gets contaminated, it's too late.
Wait, Joe, is there any way, do you have any names or numbers that they could call that got theirs closed that maybe they could get with?
Not with me right now, but I can get you some information from the people that are out there. But I know they were after it for years and years, and it was a mess. I mean, they
if they
destroyed the
did-
whole road. And just now this year, at the end of this year, they closed it down. So
Maybe that could help them out.
yeah, let me see if I can
What
get some information.
was it that they didn't?
I don't know. I didn't ask any questions on
renew
what
their
happened, but I
permit?
just know that
Okay.
they shut it down.
That'd be interesting to find out if they renewed or denied a permit, or they just shut them down midway through their.
Yeah, so in the proposal for decision from the court, the administrative court, which is part of the Railroad Commission, they're going to propose to approve the permit. We had one last exception that we were able to put in there. They'll listen to county officials. But as it is right now, the Railroad Commission is going to present to those 3 elected commissioners to renew that permit. As far as the safety concerns, and I don't know the answer to this, but how do you get above the Railroad Commission to hold those guys accountable to the safety concerns that we have in our county? I mean, is it the Attorney General? I mean, I don't know how, as a citizen, it's hard for us to get around.
Obviously,
state agency.
Legally, and there's a lot of technical and legal questions that are best left to attorneys and lawyers and the Attorney General. I guess you're right. Have there been ever complaints or anybody submitted or any concerns or any other legal action that has been taken
I
on
believe the
anybody's
Attorney
part?
General has been contacted, but they have been told that
somebody in an elected position has to make that reference, I believe is what they called it.
A complaint, a reference. I think somebody, that's something you alluded to last time I spoke to someone.
So,
That
but
is
you
a
said
body.
You had contacted JM Lozano, and did he do that for you?
He's been working with the TCEQ. I don't know, we haven't actually requested him to talk to the Attorney General, but
Well, we're gonna reach out to him here after this meeting for sure, and I want some answers from Mr. JM, see where he's at as far as what he's done as our representative.
Right.
So I'm gonna reach out to him and Senator Hinojosa also, and find out and get some clarification there.
right. I
They
mean,
need to be also involved in this process. They also need to, at that they are the state representatives and the Senate at the level, state level officials. So they need to have some answers for everybody. Yes, sir.
I'd like for them to be there at the hearing on March 9th and represent the.
Well, we'll request that there and we'll inform them about this meeting here and your testimony here today. And I'm sure they'll hear of it after today. So they're gonna have some answers. By now, they should have some type of clarity, the senator and our state rep. Mhm. So that's what I'm gonna do after this meeting is pick up the phone and where we at and what's the status. And by now, there shouldn't be any reason why they shouldn't have any information and be up to date to this point. And they should have those answers as to who oversees the Railroad Commission and who else can intervene on that.
We also
They should have those answers. Hopefully they'll have them.
Our Congressman Filemon Vela has a representative here that you could contact that maybe he could help y'all also.
Isn't Jim Wright the Railroad Commissioner?
yeah, I mean,
We
the-
can't contact Jim Wright because we are
Right.
protestants to the permit and it's a
Conflict or whatever they call it. Yeah.
ex parte.
I'd still pick up the phone and call him. I mean,
right,
who
you
cares?
can, but I can't.
Well, you can't, what's gonna prevent you? That's what I'm saying. What
We
is,
can't until March 9th, we'll be kicked out.
you'd
We
be,
cannot contact.
All communication has to be amongst all the
who
parties.
stated that and who made those?
It's the law.
State of Texas.
Really? So if you pick up the phone, you go to jail.
Well, no, we get kicked out. We can't protest.
We can't
anymore.
protest.
After March 9th, we can.
Okay.
But until March 9th, we.
You would get
cannot
kicked out of what?
The hearing.
The hearing.
Oh, you mean at the hearing itself?
Right, the hearing's not over. They haven't actually,
The commissioners have not signed off on it yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's being proposed to them to go ahead and approve it.
Right. On that date that you
But it-
mentioned.
yes, sir.
Before March 9th, we cannot make contact.
So have you had any contact with your state representative and your senator before? I know there was some communication.
And we've been in contact.
And y'all have some response or any type of where they're at or what they've done? What?
And yes, from JM Lozano.
James Lozano is the only one that's responded and assisted with TCEQ.
But not the Railroad Commission or anything like that.
We've had nothing
No.
from them.
Okay.
Well, the safety issues on the roads, can TxDOT be contacted by you guys to help with the safety issues on the roads? I mean, we have school buses,
Yeah.
Judge, that travels right by that facility with, 20 kids in it. What if there's an H2S release and everybody on that school bus dies?
Yeah, we got Orange Grove Bus Route 7. My daughter rode that bus.
My kids ride that bus.
My kids ride the bus.
So that's on Orange Grove Bus Route 7, that loaded with kids, right past that facility.
Are you familiar with where it's at?
Yes,
Okay, it's on a very big 90-degree turn.
right.
Okay, you can't see around any of that.
Any of that.
Right, and those trucks come barreling out of that driveway. They don't care. They don't care what they throw as far as rocks. They don't care. They don't care. They drive over 60 miles an hour on that road. They will run you off the road. They literally play chicken with you on the road. And I hate to say it like that, but that's how it feels.
Mhm.
You have to pull over and stop and let them pass and hope they don't bust your windows with rocks and then go because they will run you off the road. And we can't control what they do, although like the county can maybe control their speed, their weight limits, as far as like how fast they can go around that curve. And also it would limit how fast citizens can drive around that curve.
Right.
You can't go barreling around that curve if you know that there's something there.
Correct.
So if I have anybody visiting me, I warn them ahead of time on that curve, go slow, be cautious. I mean, there's multiple things, there's a lot of things, but the trucks in and out of that road.
In itself.
I'm worried about citizens and especially our children on those buses.
Yes. All the factors, yeah, it's all, none of it sounds good.
You had mentioned TxDOT and the bridges. The bridge we're talking about is a county road.
Yes.
So does TxDOT regulate that
Regulate
bridge?
that?
I believe they do.
There's a little oversight over our bridges. There is.
I know in moving heavy equipment, we would have to get bonds
Right.
with counties take heavy equipment across their
Right,
bridges.
if you're doing work within our
Right, so
jurisdiction. And yes, TxDOT does the
And they
oversight on the
certify.
bridges, their care and their integrity and all that. We have to report that on a regular basis, yeah.
But another thing, at the county level, I mean, we could have those roads patrolled. They're not even patrolled.
You don't have any presence at all? Whatsoever?
I don't,
Very little.
I don't
Very
remember the
little.
last time I've seen a sheriff's deputy out there.
And we're not always on the road. So
Right.
I'm not saying that they're not.
Right.
But I'm not seeing it.
Yes.
I've asked sheriff's departments and why they don't go out there, and they said they're, because being short manned, limited people, they end up getting, the highway patrol out there, and we had one in particular that was out there all the time,
Mhm.
but then there's been other stuff going on, she got sick, yada, yada. But they've not been out there patrolling, and I've asked several times to please have somebody sit out there, and it's nothing. As far as the bridges go, there's one bridge a little bit further down 308 that is in question of whether or not they're even gonna have to condemn this bridge, because the county will not be able to pay to fix it right away, so it's gonna get shut down. So that's access for certain people. They will either have to go way out of their way to go all the way down 624 into town, or they won't be able to go the other way. So that access is eventually gonna get cut off because of that bridge, because those trucks are gonna destroy that bridge. They're already destroying.
Mhm.
And that's a county
Yes,
issue.
the answer to your question about as far as TxDOT, we will inquire about what conditions, what incidents that have occurred, or what the condition is of that bridge and how they maintain the integrity of it.
Right.
To see some reports. I mean, have you all requested anything like that from TxDOT or contact TxDOT at all? Okay. We'll contact our local Mr. Lucia, I believe. I believe it's one of the,
Yes,
he's our new representative out here at TxDOT. So
Ramos.
Lucio Ramos, correct. I did put in a couple of calls to him sometime. So thank you for your testimony, sir. And
Thank you again for
we'll
y'all's
follow up.
time.
Yes, sir. Any other comments or anybody else like to make a statement or testimony or any comments here at this time? Commissioners? Renee?
You have the resolution?
I have the resolution here. But we need to vote on this as far as
Has anybody ever heard of anything like if the community can override, do some kind of petition or something? Because if the wind most of the time blows towards Orange Grove, that's a lot of people that could sign it, not to mention all the people that live right there. I mean,
there been any
something,
such list accumulated or before?
Prior to them,
I think,
how
yeah.
long has it been open? Like 5 years?
2014 is
When they started.
So, okay.
And the hearing itself, they didn't ask, you didn't submit any type of signatures or petition during that hearing?
I didn't even know about it till 2019 when they opened up.
Uh-huh.
No, we had some people come into the courtroom, right? And they
Right.
filled up the courtroom trying to fight back,
That was probably in 2014 when they
Yeah,
were
the
initially
original
trying to
maybe
get the
even
permit.
13, because it was a while before, yeah. They went to court, they went to Austin and stuff like that.
And there's record of that, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Commissioners, any other questions, Renee?
So we need
As
to
far as the
make a
petition goes, we'll
motion
find out about-
to
We just
adopt
gotta-
the resolution.
I just want to find out who's over the railroad commission.
I believe it's an elected entity on its own that established by the Constitution of Texas is its own entity on its own, separate from all the other. By law, by statute, it was created. I could go back and do research and find out when it was created and when it was. I don't even know when the inception was, but
EPA, nobody would be.
the environment.
Can't control anything in Texas, like they have they can, but EPA's been almost kicked out of Texas for certain reasons.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've heard that anything in EPA as far as Texas, it's hard for them to do anything because of the railroad commission.
Well, Representative Jim Lozano is the chairman of the EPA.
Is he
Yes.
the chairman of the commission? No, I didn't even know he was part of that. Well, we're gonna reach out to Mr. JM so we can get some clarification, because by now there should be some clarity here. Clarity as far as from some official already after everything y'all have been through. And if nobody can get to some type of answer or clear answer to it, then obviously,
5 years of clarity.
obviously you've been getting the runaround? Obviously, because here we are again back here and we're having to bring this up, and now we are gonna proceed with this resolution because that's our only interest is y'all's welfare and safety, nothing else. We don't even care about the taxes,
I make a
Is that
motion
important
to
enough?
adopt.
What kind of taxes is the facility paying?
Yeah, that's another thing that,
That's public record too, and it's not very much.
I mean, I know what my taxes are, Judge, and they spent like $7 million on this facility is what I was. what
well,
I
my
heard.
concern is, like I said, yeah, we do, someone mentioned that, yes, while they're in our county, yes, we're recovering and recouping taxes from all. But I mean, to what extent are we willing to, that's not the sole and only and important purpose here is collecting taxes from these
I don't think
entities.
that Texas is an issue.
No, that's what I mean. No, that's what I'm saying, that on our part, whether they're or not, it doesn't really make a difference to us. And as a board, I'm sure I speak for everybody. I mean, whenever they got there, it should have never been there before to begin with. That's what I'm saying. So,
Even us as residents, we're not even concerned with the money anymore. We know our property's lost value. But
Well,
it's our
hopefully-
health now. I mean, we can't take that
yes,
back.
and that's my focus, and that's what I'm making clear here right now. That's all that matters. And like I said, as far as contact with these people, we don't even know, we know they exist out there, but as far as, anything else above that, I mean, we don't know. And that's interesting, like you said, that even the E
owners were
EPA.
from Corpus, weren't they?
Yes, they're not from here.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
Well, I think 5 years ago, we did not know the impact. Now we do.
Right.
So, so it's something to consider.
And that's a lot of things, a lot more to consider, obviously. And this is a great opportunity here because there's a lot more to consider from here on out, because there are a lot of things that are going to impact not only and obviously it's been on a topic of conversation, and it's been more recently talked about, our TCEQ quality of our air, water, and everything, and our safety. I mean, how far are we going to go before there's no turning back and before we're all done? And I mean that as far as health and the safety and the
Environment.
integrity and the environment. And just, I'm sure they got their hands full right now trying to figure out this power situation. That's going to be another thing that, and I'm sure that also, we don't know how that impacts that facility when they're without any electricity, how that can occur, and what kind of backup and the safety issues regarding that and the fallout. So there's a lot that needs to be answered, and we need to know. So, commissioners, does anybody else have anything else to say at this point right now? So, comments?
Like, when y'all get some answers, is there somebody, a designee that you can contact, so we can contact that designee and figure out what's being done? And I mean, we'd like to know as citizens.
Okay, well, our point of contact and our contact person, obviously, is going to be Ms. Renee Chapa, and Mr. Garcia is also on the board there somewhere, but he's always been supportive of the residents, and he's always been on, as far as anything that we could do to improve with the means and the power that we do have, the authority, the limited authority we do have. We should be able to do everything we can in our power, within our authority, legally, to make that place or y'all's safety number one. So Ms. Renee will be the contact person, and we'll take it from there. We'll forward everything and anything, any information or communication or anything else for that matter, after we proceed with this resolution here we're about to proceed with. This should be very helpful. I mean, I'm glad it came before us. I know Mr. Guerra reached out to me and other folks, and this is at this point what we can do to make sure that the commission and the commissioners are aware in our position as far as the commissioners court goes, and I'm representing you guys. Anything else we can do aside from that, that's proper and that's allowed, we will do, aside from this action that we're taking here today. And we'll keep Ms. Renee posted and abreast. Anybody else? JC?
I already made the motion to oppose.
She has a motion already? Okay, we have a motion on
second
the
it.
floor.
I'll second.
A second?
She seconded.
Thank you all. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? This motion passes on this resolution. Okay, and I'm gonna read out this resolution at this time so everybody can, so it can be on the ready, read it into the record and everybody's aware of what we're doing here. Jim Wells County resolution requesting the Texas Railroad Commission to carefully consider the concerns of the Jim Wells County citizens regarding the application of Blackhorn Environmental Services LLP for a permit renewal to maintain and operate a stationary treatment facility in Jim Wells County, Texas. Whereas Jim Wells County Commissioners has the responsibility of maintaining a healthy and safe environment for the citizens to promote stable or increase property values, and protect and maintain Jim Wells County roads. And whereas there exists a pending application, Blackhorn Environmental Services LLP, for the operation and maintenance of a commercial stationary treatment facility and commercial disposal pit to treat and permanently bury oil field waste materials near County Road 308 in northern Jim Wells County, near the community of Orange Grove. And whereas the facility will on a daily basis accept large amounts of oil and gas waste, and whereas numerous landowners and concerned citizens have signed and submitted protests against granting authority of the proposed waste facility due to health, safety, pollution, and land value concerns, and whereas there exists too great of a potential for serious and long-lasting pollution of waters of Jim Wells County. Now therefore be it resolved, following input and correspondence from concerned Jim Wells County citizens, the Jim Wells County Commissioners Court respectfully requests the Texas Railroad Commission carefully consider the concerns of Jim Wells County citizens and consumers of Jim Wells County waters and the potential for diminished health and safety and subsurface water pollution, air emissions, heavy truck traffic, and the possibility of waste spillage on roads, properties, and rights of way. Adopted this 26th day of February, 2021. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
We have passed this resolution. It's read into the record. Thank you all for coming to speak, and we will continue this effort as a body and as a county. But thank you all very much for coming and taking your time out here. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
5 minute,
recess. We're gonna take a 5-minute recess at this moment. Just a little recess. Thank you all very much. Y'all have a safe trip.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
There's no reason for me to speak there instead of everything else.
That's okay. Anytime again before we need to do it, if we need to reconvene. That's fine.
I didn't want to like blow up my
urologist the other day.
I just have
Well,
to
that
get the
wasn't fun.
contract from the,
I mean, I have to go
Capital
again
place.
and different things.
That's all I
You
need.
know, I did a lot of damage to myself for holding in
To the
my
auditor.
urine.
Yeah.
I'm glad
I
I
did a lot
can,
of damage to myself, bad,
And then
for
even
holding
I-
the
I'm
urine.
glad I can still hold it, man.
And my
Jeez.
urologist says,
Sign that
you
ribbon.
can't do that whenever. The resolution is. Agenda item number 15, consider and take action to finalize relocation of county records to portable buildings at County Yard on Old Kingsville Road. Okay. Mr. Guerrero.
Yes. What is it saying? The last shall be first?
Yes, sir. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you. David Guerrero, the district clerk. Of course, had some storage issues for so long already, that it's become, um, you know, um, it's like, where do we go? What do we do? And, I actually have storage files at the mall, and we have files in our jury room. We have files in our front office. We have files in the basement by the mail room. We have a lot of files in the other office of the basement by the welfare office. So we have a lot of files going back to the inception of the courthouse. Luckily now we do e-filing, so we don't have a lot of files. The only files we keep are the pro se litigants. So
And those are required by law, right, Mr. Guerrero?
yes, yes.
The other stuff that's being
Yes.
what was it?
The e-file.
E-file.
Yes.
That's eliminating a lot of
Yes.
additional storage required space or anything
Right.
like that. Okay.
So we're
right.
talking about, of what has transpired before we got to that point.
Right.
So as you can see, we have a lot of storage issues. The district clerk, along with the county clerk, we collect a fee, a fee that goes into Fund 81, and that, I believe that account has not been used very often. And I know that in November of 2019, it had $908,847. And as of today, that account has $996,542. But yet, I still don't have an adequate and safe building for my storage issues at the mall. I know that the county approved and spent some money on some storage units. When I was starting to move my files from the mall, there was a concern about where we were moving them to. And one of the buildings I think were constructed by Ramtech Building Systems out of Midland or Mansfield, Texas. And one of the gentlemen reached out to Ron Brown, who I believe is the vice president of design. And this is how Mr. Brown responded to Josh and says, the building constructed by Ramtech Building System was originally intended to function as a classroom. The live actual loads used by the design of 50 PSF, I cannot anticipate that the rows of fully loaded filing cabinets will exceed that amount design threshold. This will overstress the wood joints and the floor decking. In addition, I suggest foundation blockings approach usually used for temporary classroom buildings would not be adequate for the filing cabinet weights. Thus, this is unacceptable for the building. This is coming from the vice president of the company that sold us those buildings. So I met with that. I met with the judge, and I met with Mr. Perez about the concerns of the building that I wish that I could have been more involved in it, but unfortunately, I was not given that opportunity for whatever reasons. And so judge asked me to move forward and to try to come up with some solutions of what we could do. And what we're talking about here, as these people before me were talking about safety issues, I too, I want a building that is adequate and also safe, because we go to this building, people request these files periodically, and my concern is that if we go into that building and that building collapsed because of the weight, then what? It's a safety issue. I know that because I happened to be in the area, I saw that someone had taken the particles in the bottom off, and I think they were trying to secure the building with some blocks, cinder blocks. Judge, you asked me to speak to a couple of engineers, and I did. And what they told me is that regardless of what was done to the bottom of the building, without even looking at it, I can tell you that it's not going to meet your needs. So I have no problem moving my files, but I want it to be in a safe area. These are very important files, ladies and gentlemen. These are files that go back to the inception of the courthouse, and again,
Sensitive.
we use them all the time. People request them. It's just like, I'm concerned about my files in the basement. Should we have a flood, if those files get destroyed, so, everybody tells us when we go to seminars, you should never have your files in the basements of the courthouse, but thanks be to God, we've not gotten to that point. And so I have some couple of recommendations that I would like to make as per the judge asked me to. I know that Mr. Michael Esparza with the City of Alice has offered some space at the Old Boys Club, temporary. This is temporary until we come up with a permanent location or build something for my files. Michael Esparza has offered some space at the Old Boys Club. Mr. Newell Atkinson has offered some space at the Halliburton facility. I know that Mr. Mario Garcia has some lots for sale right next to the jail. That maybe we could look into, see what he wants for them. I know that there is a space right next to the jail, behind the jail, that may he rest in peace, former county judge at one point had talked about building something there for the district clerk's office, and it was never done. So, am I frustrated? Yes. I think I have every reason to be frustrated. As a district clerk, I am the custodian of these records. Should these records be destroyed, I have to answer for them, so I'm looking for some direction. I'm hoping that the Commissioners Court will work with us and so that we can move forward. And I know that the county is paying a lot of money at the old mall, but
They've been paying it for over 20 years, 20, 30 years. So.
Yes.
We're just trying to remove from that. Okay. As soon as we came in, we're trying to figure out, and we all have been trying to work and trying to communicate and get it all together. But yeah, it's been a long time out there at that facility. And if anybody's aware with that old mall there, the conditions and the dilapidated conditions and the cost for such a long time, that obviously this should have been addressed some time ago. And here we are right now, and we're going to address it, and we're going to try to get out. And I know those recommendations you mentioned right now, and on our part, as far as the county clerk and myself, and as far as communicating, I know that there was a miscommunication or a lack of communication there when all of this was being rushed or moved. And I know that, you had some concerns, and we've met on several occasions. We've tried different approaches and different ways about doing it. I know Mr. JC's been very involved in acquiring those buildings, but at the same time, yes, if we don't meet your needs and the sensitive nature of your records, and I'm sure there's differences in the records of the district clerk and the county clerk's office.
Well, I know that one building is for maintenance, for the maintenance department. They've got stuff there for, the maintenance department. You don't compare that weight to the weight of my file cabinets.
Oh, right, exactly.
You
yeah.
know, and other departments,
Right.
so this is totally different. And so,
Well,
David, can I ask you something?
yes.
And have you looked into, like, just to say, getting bids from different contractors to see how much it would cost to build a building?
Well,
with a
I would
foundation
like
there?
to, with direction from the court, to do that, to see where we go from here. But in the meantime, we want to move those file cabinets to a temporary
right.
place.
And that can be
you
done,
know.
and we can move forward with removing and
But I would
and meeting
also,
that
but I'm sorry, Judge, I don't mean to interrupt, but
fine, that's okay.
I would hate to move those files into that classroom,
Mm-hmm.
portable classroom, and compromise the building,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that we've spent so much money on it and it could be used for something else.
Well, obviously, I don't
You
think
know.
after those recommendations and that engineering response that you got from Mr. Brown and the company itself, I mean, if we proceed with that, then we're risking and taking a chance, and we're not doing. And Mr. JC's, of course, he has met all his obligations with his records and the way it's laid out. It was a fine, nice job out there, but like I said, if it's not going to meet the structural integrity of it, it's not going to meet your capacity and the weight in which you're bringing about and your concerns. Of course, we're going to have to look at this, and your recommendation are taken right now as far as what you suggested temporarily before.
We're
we
talking
figure out-
about over 145
understand.
legal size file cabinets full with boxes on top of the file cabinets.
So in the
We're talking a lot
meantime,
of
what we're
weight.
going to do is we're going to look at those recommendations you suggested temporarily to get out of that facility where we're at, so we can stop paying after 20, 30 plus years, that enormous amount of money. And then I think we can minimize our costs right now temporary for your records, but just to get out of there. And in the meantime, I think that'll give you an opportunity to go through, sift some of that stuff that may or may not be good anymore. I don't know.
No, it's all good.
It's all good.
Yes,
So
we
you've
can't-
already sifted
We
through
can't
that.
destroy anything.
I know we destroyed it and we got rid of and avoided. I know that as you go along with the
No, the e-filings, right now, what's coming in e-filing, we don't actually have a file for it unless they're pro se litigants.
So outside of that, then anything else that's sensitive or that's by law required for you to have, that's what we're talking about, that exists right now.
Right.
And there's
right.
not, and that's not gonna go anywhere. Needs to be maintained for as long as forever.
Yes.
So that's why.
And
it's a
that's my
little-
point,
yeah.
that we need to have something that is going to
Long-term.
be long-term.
And secure and safe.
Instead of short-term,
Okay.
Instead of a short fix, we need a long-term.
We definitely need to
long-term.
make a decision here, but definitely we need to get out of we need to get out of that location where we're at right now. So we'll have to meet here this coming week to get that phase out of there so we can get away with that from that mall, from that property management place that we're paying. And we'll sit down, we'll talk again, we'll reconvene. I know that Mr. JC, we've already pretty much done. You're pretty much done out there. It looks good. Everything's out there. We just don't want to.
From the very beginning, I know the Sheriff Danny Bueno had said, the first aluminum building to the right that has a foundation, I think that would be perfect to construct something there. It was not considered for whatever reasons. I don't know if that is still on the table.
It may be on the table, and if we
from
wanted
the
to be, I'm
sheriff.
sure it'd be on the table.
You know,
Gonzalez, do you have any-
Well,
any
my
suggestions?
recommendation was at that time that it would have been a lot easier. We just tore that building down. You already have the foundation. Come in and build a beam around it and put a metal building on it. You already had the most expensive part of the building is going to be the foundation. It's already sitting there. Tear the old building down. The old building is not good enough to hold any records. I wouldn't even go there. But build a beam around it, erect a metal building,
Right.
and there you have your premises.
Using
But we're
the
talking
current
long-term.
foundation.
I'm sorry?
Using the current foundation.
Using the current,
Yes.
exactly. But right now, we're talking about just trying to get you out of there to save the money that we're wasting over here.
Right,
It's
right.
just a waste of money we're doing over here.
Right.
We definitely need to get you out of there as soon
What
as
was
possible.
the
In the
offer?
Meantime, the quick fix, how do we get out?
What was the offer at the Boys and Girls Club? How much is it?
I think,
You mentioned it.
if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to misquote Mr. Esparza, but I believe he said like $500 a month.
Yeah.
You know,
But is that secure enough to
with
hold
no?
Oh, yeah, it is.
records of-
The Alice Boys and
Yes.
Girls is, I'm
Yes, and
familiar
I
with the
think, and
facility.
actually, I think the offer from Mr. Atkinson was the same amount at the you know. So I will do whatever the will of the court tells me to do. I just want you to know that we are in the fourth quarter of the last 2 minutes of the game.
I know the building over here, Halliburton, because another company was gonna go out there and try to rent it out. I've been in there. It's very secured. It's got high fence. It's got everything else. You know, I don't know about the boys clubs or how well secured it is. I'm even scared of where we're at, you know, try to go in there. I know Mr. Bueno's always concerned about people breaking into the back, stealing parts of the cars, and it's already been brought to our attention. So, you know, just I follow whatever recommendation you feel comfortable with and get with the judge and get it out of here as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Enough is enough.
Yeah. Well, you know, now that we mentioned that, just for the record, just to give a little history, that mall out there hasn't been the most secure location either for all these years. So that's never been a concern, obviously. Okay. So I'm familiar with the Boys and Girls Club, and it's pretty secure. The foundation and the building itself's got security, you know. And
You know, the front part of the boys club, of course, unfortunately, is you know, it's been, you know, they hadn't been
right. It hasn't been kept
hadn't
up
been
or
used and
updated.
hadn't been kept up. But the area that he was saying that we could possibly lease,
Right.
you know, is what they used to use for the gym, and it doesn't leak in there either. So,
Right.
but the front part of the boys club
So
does
that belongs to
leak.
the city.
It
But
belongs to the
it's
city.
still, even then, it's in better condition than this current facility out here.
He you know, Mr. Sponsor went even as far as said, well, you know, why doesn't the
County
county
buy, huh?
try to
I'm sure.
to buy it off from us? And I'm
Right,
like, well, that's not. I'm not going to discuss
Is
that.
he going to give it to us
you
for
know,
$5,000 maybe? Then maybe it's an offer. Then why
So-
not? Right?
So, but again,
Commissioners, do y'all have anything else? JC, anything?
I mean, but do you want to decide today where you want to move? Do you have prices? Like, so that we could vote it already?
Yeah, the $500 maybe. You don't want to quote him, but get that quote, or I'll talk to him about that. If y'all can allow me to proceed with this, we can. Commissioners,
he's when I spoke to Michael, I can't give you the date it was, but he said, he goes, I can draw up a contract, you know, and that's where the you know, and I said, well, I'm not in a position
building's for
to
sale,
approve
David.
contracts or anything. So
That might be a short-term solution.
yes, sir.
Because that building is for sale. So if you go in there and they decide to sell it next month,
Right.
I'm pretty sure he's not gonna say, we're gonna lease it to you for a year, 2 years, 3 years. I'm pretty sure that if they get a good offer, that building's, you know, you're gonna be out of there.
Right, right.
So
And that's why, and that's why you're correct, Mr. Garcia, and that's why I'm saying that we are, this is the fourth
2
quarter
minutes
and the
in.
last 2 minutes
So,
of the game.
in the
So we
meantime-
need, in the meantime, I need some direction from the court, and then we need to work quickly to see where are we going from here.
Yeah, you don't want to move it.
No, no. We don't want to.
Okay, so in other words, you don't wanna use what's there at the.
Well, I'm concerned that it's not,
Well, it's already been, you've already made that
it-
clear. We're not gonna move to that building because the integrity and the architecture, and Mr. Brown already said, so that's out of the picture already.
So-
We'll utilize those facilities because Mr.
we-
Pettis has done a great job in doing that, and we still have some space and we can utilize those spaces.
We can
We'll
utilize that
utilize it.
building.
We will utilize them. So
We can
if we can get
utilize
you
it.
guys to authorize me to negotiate it, and I'll keep
Things,
y'all
you
in
know,
touch.
I'll make a motion to
mean,
go ahead and
don't-
give the authorization to
real quick,
David and-
don't get me wrong, I mean, they're great buildings.
Yeah, they are.
Unfortunately, it doesn't fit the needs of the
Yes.
district clerk's
The
office
weight
for
and the concern.
storage.
Right. But it met the needs right now so far, what we've seen and so far, but not including your file cabinets, the weight and everything else
Right.
that's required. And
And
your,
maybe the cost of the building at the boys club is something that
I'll get,
we could, you know.
maybe
consider.
consider.
I don't know.
Well, the thing
I'm
that
just
I don't
putting it
like
out
about
there.
that part is that we're eliminating the tax roll. If somebody else buys it, let them pay taxes on it. If we take
Yeah.
it away from them, we're eliminating tax roll.
We've already done enough of that.
If
Many
you-
entities
we don't wanna be
taking off
doing
a
that
lot of
anymore.
buildings off the
If
tax
you
roll.
ask me, I think, look, speaking to Mr. Mario Garcia out here, you know, how much he would sell a lot for and construct something there, or going back to the original plan, if it's still on the floor, is what the sheriff had mentioned at the very beginning, and tearing down that aluminum and
Mhm.
reconstructing another building there.
Is that still
Storage.
viable? No, no more?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay, so we'll look at that. JC's already familiar with the grounds, and if that foundation, we had talked about that. I will get on that, and we'll figure out if it's still, and how much room and square footage is required, and how much it can be done, and we'll check with the sheriff to see if it's still on the table.
I just asked that I be involved in the process, that's all.
Yeah, no, from here on out, this is what we're gonna do.
But that's long term. We need to get out of there right now, so.
Yes,
I'll
yes.
make a motion to, allow the judge and David to get together and try to figure out a way to get out of there.
Temporary, so we get out of that mall area.
I second.
We
the
have an
motion.
auditor come in right now and we're paying an outrageous amount of rent there.
Oh, I agree,
And so
I
we
agree.
need to Get out of there and
Okay.
find a.
I have a motion on the floor. Commissioner, you want to say anything else? I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, a second. This is specifically to authorize the county judge to negotiate and work with the district clerk
With
to
District
find
Clerk David
temporary.
Guerrero.
Temporary.
So that building's out of the question for you, right? The one at the TxDOT? You don't want to use that building for sure.
The portable.
Well,
building,
it's
no.
not-
Because
well-
if you don't, so we can utilize it in
Yes,
the
correct.
other,
Yeah.
because we still have more storage to
fill.
To fill.
Yeah.
yes.
Based on the email from Ramtech, Mr. Garcia, and his recommendation, it does not meet the needs because of the weight issue.
Yeah, I
Mr.
understand where
Pettis,
you're coming from.
You don't
but-
want to make any, I know that you had done.
I mean, yes, I would
everything
love
you
to
could
use it, but
reinforce
I
that, but-
can't, I mean,
So the answer is no.
The answer is no,
can't.
no, and we're gonna move on from that. Mr. Pettis did reinforce and he did all he could to reinforce to make it, but even then, it's still not gonna meet and that's fine. It's not gonna meet the minimum, which is the recommendations of the engineer and everybody you spoke to. And that's it. It's done. We're gonna use that space for
We're
something
gonna
else.
Use it for something else. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
we'll,
trying to
we'll
say.
fill it in. That way we don't worry about that. And we'll talk about those recommendations and those other possibilities of constructing out here or look at this property and all the other recommendations you gave. And we'll be in contact about that. So I have a
Okay.
motion on the
Thank you,
floor in a
Mr.
second.
But
And I have a motion on the floor in the second.
part of that motion, you
I
know,
have a second.
you need to move on it within the next couple of weeks, you know.
Yes,
to
sir.
See where you're gonna go.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
let's get a timeline here, within the,
As far as the financials, yeah, definitely, because whenever we get the invoices, we need to know if we can have a target deadline, let's say by the end of March, that way we know we're only gonna
Right.
pay
Okay.
rent March and then that's
okay.
it.
Well,
then
add
let's-
that to the motion. I'll make a motion to allow the judge and David Guerrero, the district clerk, to go
Proceed.
forward with finding a place to get Mr. Guerrero's
Temporary housing for
Move
the,
out
housing.
before March.
by the deadline of March 31st.
And then just one more thing to add, we'll double check, we do have to double check with the county attorney, because I don't know if what kind of written notice he needs to give to the.
there is a 30-day, a notice that's required by law to submit to the management company where we're currently at to give them notice, but that still doesn't keep us from moving on and doing all that. That's just something that, as far as payment goes through the end of March, but we do gotta give the notice, and Mr. Guerra did talk to me about that, so that'll be something that we can,
Any comment?
Mr. Guerra, anything that you'd like to add?
Well, I need to know if you're planning on moving out at the end of March, then the notice has to be given here in the next couple of days.
Give the notice before the next couple of days?
I don't see any reason why we cannot get out by March.
By the end of March the
Mr. Guerra.
31st.
Okay, well, then I'm gonna have to do it today because the month ends on a Sunday. And if I wait till Monday, we're gonna be stuck there till the end of April. Can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr.
Hey,
Guerra?
one other thing I noticed, and just something to consider. I know that if we adopt a plan, and maybe we need to get with CoFile on this, but if you adopt a record preservation plan, there's a way where you can digitize a lot of these documents. Not all of them. Some of them you have to keep no matter what, especially if they have historical significance. And I know we have some of those because, you know, of the situation in 1948. I think David's got some some of those have already been set aside for their historical value. But one of the things we can look at is digitizing some of this stuff and shredding the files that we're not required by law to keep. And that would save a lot of space. I noticed that Hidalgo County has one of those plans, and CoFile does it for us. We can use the money in the record retention fund. So that's just an option. Obviously, you're still going to need a storage facility for some of the files that cannot be shredded, but there are provisions that need to be looked into and maybe reduce the amount of space that's actually necessary.
I will actually think that it would be cheaper to find a facility than to digitize, because the only thing that we have on computer is is probably safely, I would say, from 2005 to current is all digitized, but before that is paper. So
I have a question for you.
Yeah, but you can, but you can digitize some of that pre-2005 stuff. Not all of it, but you can. There's a lot of it that
we can't. We won't be able to pick and choose what we're going to digitize because we don't know when XYZ attorney is going to be requesting a certain file.
But it's still there, David. It's there. It's scanned, and those scanned copies, if you put
But I'm
them
saying
out.
we have to digitize. We can't pick and choose what we're going to digitize. We'd have to digitize everything.
David, Bear County, Hidalgo County, all of those, you go into a room, you get to a computer terminal, you pick your file, and you print out what you need. And those records are admissible just as any other ones are.
We can consider that, and we will. We're going to
It's going to take some work, but it can be done.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it can't be done. Yes, it can.
We'll consider that, Mr. Guerra, and that's a good recommendation. But in the meantime, we're going to get those files by next week. We're going to get them out of there to either one of those. So I have a motion on the floor. In a second, in order to authorize me to negotiate that so we can move those before the end of March 31st. So we can send that notice in to the management company. Okay, I have a motion on the floor. In a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Guerrero. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Guerrero.
Thank you. All right. We'll consider all of those digitizing. That'll be something that definitely I'm curious about now, and check with the Hidalgo County, with the judge over there, see what he recommends and see if it's cost effective. The co-file does that? You have that? So maybe we can look at that and sit down with them and talk about what we can eliminate at this time. But in the meantime, temporarily, I'll check with these guys.
That tax dot.
Yes.
The front building.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of room in there.
Okay. The front building that exists right now currently?
There's a lot of room in there. I don't know if everything would. No, the very front.
Oh, the building, the actual building.
There's a lot of room in there.
Empty
that
offices.
you might go look at, David. Maybe.
Where the offices are at? There's a possibility.
There's a possibility
Yes.
that everything would fit in.
It looks
there.
like that training office.
Where the offices are at?
Yeah.
Or you'd have to check with the
With the
sheriff
game
because I know
ordinance.
he's got some plans for,
Well,
he opened it
might-
up already.
Yeah,
So.
but the plans for that facility was for record management and sheriff's department.
Right, I got you. That was the
See, so-
understanding.
So we have a say.
Yeah.
To what goes in there.
I got you.
No, he might, Danny might have a.
Something that we
plan,
can look
he
at.
Might have another
Okay.
plan also.
We'll go look at that.
Go look at that, David, because it might be temporarily,
Yeah,
I'm
right.
saying. It
Exactly.
might be big enough. for you.
Feasible.
And then, the sheriff, if you want to move out and the sheriff has plans, that's be another thing. It's pretty big in there. It's.
We can consider everything
pretty
as
good size,
temporarily,
pretty good size.
and that's a
And
good
rent
idea.
free,
Yes, exactly. Like I said, yeah,
right? I don't know.
yeah, we're trying to,
It's worth going to look at it, David.
Yes, I don't have a problem with it. I will.
we will take that recommendation and go look at that first to see if it's feasible and it's allowed, and like Ms. Renee said, anything that we
Even
can,
if it's temporary.
yeah. Well, anything, like I said, after 30 years of paying all this enormous amount of waste of freaking money out there at that mall, and then finally we come in, we try to get this thing going, and it's going, so we're gonna get there. We're gonna get
What
there.
is it now? What's the
And-
cost?
What?
So that's the cost. now?
Yeah, what's the cost, Cindy?
No, the
65?
monthly, Randy.
Monthly.
Is it 65?
Did it already go up?
No, it hasn't gone up.
What is the
45?
amount,
45?
Cindy? What's the amount per month?
It's 2,000
Oh,
something.
I know.
We've only been paying it,
I think it's like 45, doesn't it?
2,500, but we've only been
25 or
paying it.
26,
Hell,
yeah.
that's how long it's been that people forget how much we're paying and.
But they had a contract that it was supposed to go up to 5,000.
Right, and then we are on a month to month because that term ended. So we've been fortunate so far, so good, that we've been doing it from a month to month since we never re-entered into another agreement, a long term.
I'll build a building and y'all can rent it for
Uh-huh,
5,000 a month.
sure, yeah, yeah.
I'll even do it for 4,500.
Yeah, it's not 5, it was 6.
Anyway,
We're currently paying 2,200 a month, and the proposal was for 6,000 a month.
Mm.
That's how much it was gonna
yeah,
increase.
they want to go to, Well, anyway, we have a motion already.
We're done.
Already passed.
Second,
We're good.
David,
Item number
look-
16.
Look at the text dot building. It might be, it might be big
For
enough.
temporary.
Let's go look at it. I think the game warden's there, but he can always move somewhere else. Or, there's a lot of space in there. May not be big enough, but it's worth looking at.
We will go definitely look at that. Thank you for that recommendation. Agenda item number 16, consider approving county treasurer report and other monthly reports.
Judge, we had a chance to oversee this already, so
Yes,
I'll
sir.
make a motion to accept.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And the second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Agenda item number 17, consider approving county auditors reports. I think that everything,
Yeah, I can go over it just real quick,
Sure,
just since
okay,
it's
Ms.
the first one
Thank
for
you.
the month.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll do the sales tax report. Of course, as most of y'all know, we get the bulk of our, I'm sorry, we get our sales tax monthly. Right now, for the month of January, we got $192,325.02. A little, it's about 25,000 less than what we got last year. But of course, whenever we projected the budget on the revenue on the sales tax, we took that into consideration because of the economy. So we did project at a lower rate. So we're on track on that part. Even though we got less, we did project less. So it's not like we overstated the revenue portion. So we're kind of on track with that. It is a little less. That's not what we want to see, but
the times.
we were preparing for it. So it's not like it was unexpected. So that's the sales tax report, and you can kind of see between last year and this year. That's what's going to be on that report. Next is going to be the auditor's report. Of course, the auditor's report, this is where you're going to see the revenue portion. The revenue portion is always higher in January because that is where we get the bulk of our ad valorem tax. So it is higher. We're at overall 41% of our collections in the first month, and that's always projected. And then, of course, you have each individual departments. The departments should be at 8% by the end of January. So you can look at each individual department, whatever department is over that amount. Most of the time, maybe they have either one-time payments or something like that that we're aware of. And if, it's something that we're not aware of, we normally will get with the departments. And there's normally a justification for why they're over. As a whole, out of all the accounts that we have, the whole county's at 8%, which is where we should be. We don't have that little variance that we normally do, but we have had a lot of additional expenses with COVID and all of that. So
We can attest to that for sure.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll get a lot of it recovered
yeah,
because all that's
and
been
that's
submitted.
that we're waiting on that, and hopefully we will get some of that money back.
Right. Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Miss Cindy. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a good day. Okay, Commissioners.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
In a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes. Again, thank you, Cindy. And agenda item number 18, consider approving payroll and bills submitted by county auditor with the exception of Fund 52, 53, and 54.
Make a motion to approve item number 18 is presented,
Okay,
Judge.
I have a motion, a second.
Second. Okay, before, second.
Yes,
Go ahead.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, motion passes.
Yeah, before we adjourn.
Yes.
I want the commissioners to identify the county roads that you might want to change speed limits.
Okay.
And we have to identify them so we can put it on the agenda. Because I surely want to change the one on 308, because those trucks, like they were saying, they fly through there. So on the next agenda,
Let's
I'd
identify.
like to know, for you all to let us know what county roads that we need to change speed limits on. I identified about 4 or 5 of them within that area. So
That's a good recommendation. Each precinct should identify those roads that need to be looked at, the
we can
speed
do it
limits.
all at the same time.
Yeah, so we can submit
Like
that.
at
Commissioner Ray?
Tecolote, you might want to, they're always going pretty fast through there. So anyway, that's the first step to changing the
I
speed
think,
limits
I
for
think,
those people.
thank you, Mr. Guerrero. I
Right.
think Margie and
Thank
I
you,
can
Mr.
attest to the speed limits. Don't matter with these people where you're working on the road, you're doing whatever you're doing, they'll go by 100 miles an hour. They'll drive to that road 100 miles an hour when it's broken and 200 when it's fixed. So it's horrible, man. But yes, it's, but at least you have to have the sign there because the sheriff's department will tell you, well,
For
what's the
sure,
speed?
on 308,
For sure, yeah.
I put a speed limit in there and I'll have the sheriff department monitor it, because, that's a big concern right
It's a
there.
big concern, yeah, and we've been put on notice and
we
hopefully
can
nothing
put weight
happens.
limits, but I think the state can give them a permit, which is okay. That takes the liability away from us.
Right.
You see?
But
So-
and you're correct about the liability. And even then, after we've been put on notice, we don't want anything. I mean, from this point on, if anything does occur and we don't address the speed limit, the road conditions, then it's gonna be on us. Yeah.
Or you can designate certain areas because in Fremont and in Bembo, they had to drive to only one road.
One
They-
thing
they
I
had
didn't
access to
mention, I
another
should have
road
mentioned
that was only
before.
used for one way in, one way
Just
out.
for the record,
You see, you can just designate one area because that's what they did in Bembo.
just so you
Before I
know, for
came
the
in.
record, we do have a local gentleman that's on the Transportation Committee, Mr. Terry Canales Jr. So he is the chairman of it, and he was a resident of Jim Wells County. So there shouldn't be any problem with trying to get this addressed. Any questions? That's what I was gonna call when they mentioned. I did mention there was a lot of names thrown around, but he is the chairman of the Transportation Commission, of the committee. So I'm gonna reach out to him. Okay,
Anyway,
commissioners.
I've been wanting to change speed limits and I'm gonna submit mine and try to change them because, I already delayed it about 2 or 3 months already. So we need to move on it pretty
I
fast.
think that's good.
Yep, it is. Okay. Do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
We have a
Judge.
motion on the floor and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 This meeting is.